Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are doing well. And so today I am ready with my another video on overseas direct investment series, new ODI regime. And in this video, I am going to discuss about the late submission fees, that is LSF, and it is a good news for Indian entity, that is the person resident in India. Okay, so let's begin and let's see what is there in this video for you. So let's talk about the coverage. In this video, we are going to cover the relevant provisions with respect to LSF of OI rules, overseas investment regulation, OI direction, the procedure of LSF, and finally the consequences of non-payment of LSFs. Okay, so we are going to discuss these all points in the coming slide. Okay, so let's talk about first the clause 22 of OI rule 2022. So the rule is framed by the central government. So the OI rule 2022 has been framed by the central government, and under this clause, the central government has given the power to Reserve Bank of India, or you can say a direction they have given to the Reserve Bank of India with respect to the mode of payment, deferred payment of consideration, reporting, realization, and other requirement for any investment outside India by a person resident in India shall be as per the regulation made in this behalf by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so friend, I would like to mention a brief the concept of rules, regulation, and direction. So it is the central government who is, competent authority to frame any rule for any under particular act. And when central government authorized a regulator, it is the regulator who issues the regulation. So in this case, the central government has issued OI rules, and through the OI rules, they have given the power to the Reserve Bank of India to frame the regulation with respect to these field, the mode of payment, deferred payment, reporting. So when we talk about reporting, then the concept of late submission fees comes automatically in picture, because in this ODI regime 2022, the concept or the provision has been introduced, especially in this ODI regime. So now let's see what OI regulation talks about. So as per clause number 11, so the regulation has been framed by Reserve Bank of India, as we have already seen in the earlier slide. So because the central government has directed RBI to frame regulation, so under that clause, now as per the regulation 2022, the clause number 11, there is regulation with respect to delay in reporting. Okay, so let's see what it talks about. It says a person resident in India. So it is always the entire regulation or the new regime is the investment by a person resident in India and the investment outside India. Okay, so a person resident in India does not submit the evidence of investment within the time specified under sub-regulation of Regulation 9, or does not make any filing within the time specified under Regulation 10, may make such submission or filing as the case may be, along with late submission fees within such period as may be advised, and at the rate and in the manner as may be directed by the Reserve Bank of India from time to time. Okay, so here, as per clause number 11, the RBI has framed a regulation that any person resident in India who does not submit the evidence of investment or does not make any filing under rule number 9 or 10 may make such submission or filing with late submission fees within such period or such direction as may be directed by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so now under this clause, RBI has framed a regulation. Further, it says, provided that such facility can be availed within a maximum period of 3 years from the date of submission or filing, as the case may be. Okay, so the window is only available for a period of 3 years from the due date of respective reporting or filing under the overseas investment regime. Further, now the second point is a person resident in India responsible for submitting evidence or any filing relating to overseas investment in accordance with the act or regulation made thereunder before the publication. Okay, so now this clause is talking about even though if a person does not file or has not made any reporting under the old regime, that is the FEMA 120. Okay, so any regulation thereunder before date of publication of these rules. So it means in the earlier regime also, then who has not or does not submission. So the same thing. So here also it says that may make submission, such submission of filing along with the late fees. Okay, so this provision is also applicable for the late submission or delay reporting for the cases which were there in the old regime or under the FEMA 120. Okay, so here the window is also given for a period of 3 years for these cases also. So this is the clause number 11 of OI regulation. Next. Now, clause number OI direction. Okay, so we have seen the provision of OI rules which is framed by central government. Now, under the this direction of central government, RBI has made regulation. So we have seen the clause number 11, which talks about the you know the late submission provision. Okay, and there is a window which they have given for regulation this late submission. Now we come to clause number 18 of Y direction, that is overseas direction 2022. So here basically here RBI is stipulating step-by-step guidance what is to be done in case of delay in reporting. Okay, so here let's see the provision is delay in reporting, the clause number 18 of OI direction 2022. So the subclause says in a case person resident in India, so that it is always a person resident in India has made a delay filing or submitting the requisite form written document, such person may file submit forms regulation forms written document etc. and pay the late submission board fees. So this is as per the requirement of clause number 11 of OI regulation. So it is with regulation 11 of OI regulation. Okay. So since it is framed under clause number 11, so this is the background. Okay. Now RBI is giving the procedure part. Okay. So under subclause 2, the LSF for the delay in reporting of overseas investment related transactions shall be calculated as per the following matrix. Okay, so now the late submission fees is there. So the RBI has divided the late submission, the calculation of late submission fees in two parts. First part is Form ODI, Part 2 APR, FLA, Form OPI, evidence of investment, or any other return which does not capture flow or any other periodical reporting. Okay, so as per this, the point number one, here the straight away the late submission fees is per filing is 7,500. So basically, when there is no information regarding the flow, which is the outflow, which we report in the form ODI. So in that case, so in case of like APR, that annual performance review, or FLA returns or form OPI, so in that case, if there is a delay or non-submission, that can be regularized through payment of 7,500 per this delay or return. Okay. Now the second part, it talks about the flow that regarding the reporting of the transaction. So ODI part one. Now I would like to mention here that now the ODI form has become the FC, that is financial commitment. Okay, so now there is 6 7 section in this form FC, but in the second part they are saying ODI part 1, ODI part 3 form FC or any other return which captures the flow or returns which capture reporting of non-fund based transaction or any other transactional reporting. Okay, so if it is a non-transactional reporting, then the straight away it is 7,500. But if it is a transactional reporting, whether it is fund based, non-fund based, like issuance of bank guarantee or any remittance which is going outside, then the formula will be like this. So what is this formula? This is 7,500. So 7,500 is straight away. Then plus 0.25% of A multiplied by n. So what is this A? N is the number of years in delay in the submission. So we have to find out this n. Okay, because we need to calculate the period. So this here we are saying that it will be always in year. So when we calculate this, so it is the n is your years, number of years, so we will convert this into year. Okay, and the A is the amount of involved in the delay reporting. So since this is a transactional delay, here the actual flow is going in terms of fund based or non-fund based, so A is the amount involved. So suppose if the remittance of a remittance for ODI was said like 1 million, then the here A will be like 1 million. Then C, LSF amount is per return. So it is not a combined for all regulations. So if there is an n number of reporting is missing, then you have to pay 7,500 for each and every return. Okay, the maximum LSF will be limited to 100% of A. So here RBI has clarified that your maximum LSF cannot go beyond the 100% of A and will be rounded off upward to the nearest 100. Okay, so suppose if I made a 1 million investment, so my LSF cannot go beyond 1 million. Okay, so this is the direction under clause number 18 of OI direction 2022. Hope it is clear. Now let's see next. Now it is a procedure part of regulation through LSFs. So now we have understood that RBI have introduced this provision of late submission fees in overseas direct investment. So this is the procedure part which I have briefly discussed to understand what is the process and how to go forward with the late submission fees. So what first of all, the AD bank will notify to Indian entity that this is your total amount of your late submission fees which the Indian entity or the applicant has to pay. The Indian entity will provide its consent for LSF. Okay, so this is also important that once it is conveyed by AD Bank that this much is LSF is coming, then Indian entity, that is applicant, is required to provide its consent for payment of LSF. Then AD Bank will submit late submission fees application to the concerned Reserve Bank or RO of Reserve Bank of India. So in this late submission application fees, the AD Bank will give the details of the transaction or the return which is to be regularized through late submission fees. Then RBI will confirm that RBI means the respective regional office of the RBI will confirm the amount of LSF and issue a conditional acknowledgement. Okay, so once the application is received by the RBI, then they will go through this, they will check the calculation, they will check the facts and figure, and once they are okay, they will issue a conditional acknowledgement. Okay, means they are agree, okay, this is the late submission fees and now the customer can pay. So once this conditional acknowledgement issued by RBI, it goes both to the bank as well as to the customer or to the Indian entity or to the applicant. Okay, So once this conditional acknowledgement is issued by RBI, then LSF has to be paid within 30 days of the conditional acknowledgement which is issued by RBI, and the payment has to be made through demand draft. Okay. So this is very important. The payment has to be done within 30 days of conditional acknowledgement to RBI. Okay. Then RBI will issue an acknowledgement for receipt of payment and regularization of delay. So once the payment is received by RBI, and I would like to mention here that the customer or the applicant has to make payment directly to Reserve Bank of India, not its AD Bank. Okay, so they will issue the demand draft in favor of respective regional office of Reserve Bank of India, and they will direct that dispatch, or they can submit the DD in the RBI office. So once this payment is received, and RBI find that the payment is in order, then they will issue a final acknowledgement for the payment and regulation of delay. So once the delay is acknowledged, once the final acknowledgement is issued, then the AD bank can process further, and they can regularize the delay, and they can approve the transaction. So after only this, once this final acknowledgement issued, then only the AD bank can regularize the transaction. Otherwise, it will still continue remain with the AD bank. Okay. So this is the procedural part. Now, next, in the coming slide, we'll discuss about the importance and the implication of late submission fees. Okay. So friends, as you know, this is a newly introduced provision in ODI Regime 2022, and this window is given for the regularization of delayed or non-submission of filing. Okay, so this is a good news. In the starting, I mentioned that this is a good news. I will tell you why it is good news, because if there is delay, then there is no time frame from RBI or from AD Bank. Okay, because there are so many cases pending, or these cases involves complications. So, but so RBI has given the regulation through late submission fees. So, okay, so once these paper are proper and the applicant has submitted and they have consented regarding this payment of LSF, then the RBI has given the window up to 3 years for this regulation of delay or non-submission of any reporting to RBI. Okay, so the most important part of this late submission is that no further financial commitment till delay is regularized. This is as per clause number 12 of OI regulation. Okay, so friends, here I would like to mention to all person resident in India, whether it is a company, whether it is a resident individual, those who have made an investment, overseas investment, that please go through your, UIN number, and you check whether all this reporting has been done or all filing has been regularized. If not, please use this window and get your case or get your transaction regularized through RBI, because as per this provision, there is a stringent provision that no further financial commitment is allowed in cases where there is a regulation pending. So friends, with this, here I stop my video. Hope I have contributed a meaningful insight with respect to late submission fees. If you have any doubt, you can mention in your comment. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Thanks.